Sign me out. Sign me out. Sign me out. Who is using contact? For me? Why the one using Rush Association? This one. I don't have any idea, but this is not for me.
Hello.
Stop this time. Don't handle this thing. Mm. Check, is it streaming on YouTube? Check if it's streaming on YouTube. 嗯嗯嗯。
Hello, welcome everyone to this wonderful session today. Happy Environmental Day to you all. You are all welcome. We still have very few minutes to welcome others. Then we commence the agenda of the day. As the case may be, we are very much aware today is a very busy day for various and different companies. They are also having events ongoing as we speak, but virtually we are here to mark this day. So just a few minutes, we are going to commence fully. Thank you so much and welcome once again. Yeah, thank you so much once again. And I said, welcome to the World Environmental Day webinar 2023 by the OSH Association. And we are glad we are having participants from across various countries and also from various organizations, and also welcoming all our participants and members, non-members, also those who are joining us via the YouTube channel. You are all welcome on board. Please, let's make this a very short meeting, very interactive and very educative for us to take home something from this meeting today. And the theme of this webinar today is Solution to Plastic Pollution, which is the theme of the World Environmental Day by the United Nations. You know, this day is set aside to interact, to engage, to brainstorm on the need to keep our environment safe and sound, and to make our environment a safe place to be for everyone in the world. Once again, you are highly welcome. I'll be welcoming some of our leaders. We have Manse Ali here, who is the main speaker of this session today from Egypt. You are highly welcome. We also have other leaders of the association who are also joining us shortly as we proceed. I myself remains Engineer Emmanuel Buwalaka, one of the team lead for the association, especially within the African region. You are all welcome. And I also want to give opportunity to welcome everyone who will be or who would love to make a brief remark or also make an input according to the team before we proceed to the lecture of the day. To start this brief remark, I think let me welcome Manse Ali maybe to say hi to the house before we proceed to other. Manse, over to you. Just say hi to the house before you come full time with your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. We're welcoming you today. Let's hope it's a productive and wonderful day for everyone, especially that the topic is very trending. You know, I was thinking about this, dear sirs, that as long as the Valentine's Day is more famous than the World Environment Day, then we are going into the wrong direction. But since we are all here now, so this means that there is very strong potential and hope for the future. And I'm looking forward to all the inputs from all the colleagues and candidates, either from OSHA or from outside OSHA, because OSHA has this vision of safety and health. Safety and health should not only be for occupational safety and health. It should be a complete culture. We are now facing the problems and the mistakes of previous generations, and it is our responsibility to start taking the right action on time right now before handling it over to the next generations. because if we don't find the solution now, then maybe our children, our grandchildren will be facing a bigger problem than we are facing right now. So we have a huge responsibility to carry. OSHA is taking full responsibility for this task, either through occupational safety and health or through the whole culture, orienting everyone about safety and health as a culture, because no one entity or no one party can solve the problem alone. We are all living in one planet in the globe. We all have to find collective solutions. We all come from different backgrounds. We have different profiles. We have different objectives, different visions in life. But what we share is this planet, is this globe. Once we can reach this common language and common ground, all the differences, as much as we can capitalize on the similarities. So I'm welcoming you on board and looking forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Almasi, for that brief input. Of course, you know, looking at the issue of plastic pollution across the world now is becoming so alarming, especially within the Africa continent. And within the Middle East, I think a whole lot of work is going on in there to ensure that there is a proper control, proper measures to control plastic waste. In the Western world, like in the UK, as the case may be, I have entered so many shopping malls where they have policies. You have to come with your own plastic bags to buy things. And if at all you want to, you need plastic bags for anything, they have to, you know, ask you to pay for it. So when you know you are paying for the plastic bag you are going to shop in the shopping mall, you have to know how to manage the ones you have at home, know how you manage the waste, how you manage your plastic bags, including so many. So, and you also see that within the Western world, there's a whole lot of development in having recycling into place now, where every plastic goes back to recycling bins, go back to recycling plants to come up with a new product that is going to serve one purpose or the other to the public. So these are innovations, these are solutions that the world is bringing on the table. And for those within the Africa environment, it's definitely very difficult. In Africa, as I speak right away, in Ghana, in Kenya, in Nigeria, you see, you buy one small item, they have to give you a plastic bag. You buy another thing, they have to give you a plastic bag. Before you know, you have more than 15, 20 plastic nylons and plastic items for just to carry your luggages or to carry your items. So these are issues, and it's actually causing a whole lot of littering in the environment, causing a whole lot of nuisance to the water bodies, and also to the causing a whole lot of disaster, causing flood and so many things within the environment. So I think the UN have really looked into this to see that it's very, very crucial and important for everyone, professionals, especially we learned professionals, to start driving the solution, you know, having this education, the advocacy for people to know how to manage their waste, manage the plastics and things of that nature. And this theme today is very, very captivating and very, very interesting, especially for me, because it's something that really needs to be addressed in order to have a future and a secure next generation coming. So thank you so much, Ali. And also to have some brief input from other delegates in the House. Maybe I need to welcome Mr. George Bob Marley. Mr. George Bob, do you have any brief input to this topic as a delegate to this session?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead, please. We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, right now I don't have, so you can just go ahead. Maybe subsequent time, you can just start.
It's all right. Thank you so much, as he's very much standby, waiting to learn from one thing or the other. And also we have Mavis Odobo in the house. Mr. Odobo.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here. I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here to just listen. I was drawn to the fact that I got an invitation, and I was excited about the fact that solutions to plastic menace is going to be discussed. So I'm very much interested in getting to know what solutions will be profiled on this platform, and hoping that it will be a very, very interactive and engaging session whereby we all can profile a solution that is workable and practicable for us to take home and begin to implement in our various corners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bodo, for this wonderful input, and very highly expectant to get one or two solutions. We have so many of the other experts coming in from the association. We have one of the trainers of our association, Occupational Safety and Health Association, in the person of Mr. Yusuf Ali from Saudi Arabia. And Mr. Yusuf, you are highly welcome to this interactive session to mark the World Environment Day. And I believe you are also going to have one or two input to this session as we progress. We also have Al MM. Al MM, you have any input before we proceed further? Al MM. Al MM.
Is it Amr?
Okay, yeah. Okay, Mr.
Yes,
Ezat, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here because I'm interested in environmental safety in general, and the plastic issue is a little bit of concern worldwide. And since I'm working in the information technology consultancy field, I'm looking forward to know how to integrate the industry into the service of this goal. I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Ezat, for that wonderful input. Okay, going forward, I think we need to welcome Mrs. Yusuf Ali. Mrs. Yusuf, do you kindly, very brief keynote while we proceed to the presentation of the day? Mrs. Yusuf Ali Roxy. Okay, it is possibly he's still very busy to settle to talk to us. So going further to the paper presentation of the day is no other person than our seasoned specialist, health and safety professional, and also the regional president of Occupational Safety and Health Association Egypt region, who will be anchoring a session on this topic today, sharing a knowledge that is going to benefit every one of us, and also creating the platform for us to make an input at the end of the session, so that we can be able to have a very interesting interactive session. We want to welcome on board Mr. Ali Marcy on the podium. Mr. Ali Marcy, over to you, please, for your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, hello again, everyone. And I'm welcoming you all on board. And yes, but Emmanuel, you mentioned something very important. You know, this is how I drink water. I'm keeping this bottle for a couple of months now. So waste management, yes, waste management is very important and critical issue. May I share my screen? Dear sir, I'll need to share my screen for the presentation.
Please, the IT, please, can you make Al-Marcy a co-host to share screen, please? Thank you.
Yes, let me give you a quick overview about the presentation before we start. I'll be tackling the issue from a risk management perspective, but I'll try to simplify all the technicalities. We'll not be jumping into technicalities. We are all very practical and we want solutions. So we will be tackling a little bit of risk management in the beginning, just to get rid of all the technicalities in the first 5 minutes. Then we will take it forward to plastic pollution. And if time allows us, and I'll be sharing one of my personal experiences and exposures. I'll be telling you a short story that I was engaged in, and it's directly related to plastic pollution and waste management, and I think it might be a little bit inspiring. So yes, let me start sharing here. Please let me make sure that the screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, we can see it. Yes, we can
Yes.
see it. Go ahead, please.
So we're focusing on plastic pollution, the environmental risks, problems, and solutions. And maybe you will see right here in the picture that I chose this picture. After a few slides, we'll find out why I focused on this picture specifically. But first, let's take a quick overview about risk management in general as a framework, as a very comprehensive and general Passepartout framework. I consider it Passepartout framework that can be used in different contexts after tailoring it, of course, and after understanding what is the main problem that we are trying to solve. But let's just have a quick overview about the framework itself. Well, first of all, since we are all here, we are striving to make a difference, and making a difference needs leadership. Leadership, if we abstract it from all the technicalities and the fancy definitions, I believe leadership has been there for thousands of years, and it will remain for thousands of years. So no one can learn leadership by reading a book. Leadership is an attitude. So in order to have a significant impact on the future, then we need to have this attitude, this leadership attitude. So the strategic, the risk management process, as I promised, will not go through technicalities, but let's just give the main framework, how it works. First, we need to be determining our position, whether it's good or bad, but we need to be honest about it, prioritize our objectives. And this is, I believe this is where the problem is, because prioritizing our objectives, it's at many situations is very subjective. So the objectives nowadays are turning into becoming, or have already turned into becoming, pure financial objectives. So all what, you know, the economy is consists of producers and consumers and regulators, maybe governmental, quasi-governmental institutes as governance and regulation. So those are the main key players in the market: producers, consumers, and the regulators or regulative authorities. So what producers care about at the end of the day is the profit. So no matter how much plastic waste can be ruining the environment, as long as it is cheap and is the best option for manufacturers and for packaging companies, and it implies a good profit margin for them, then it's difficult to change their attitude. So prioritizing objectives is very important. This is the crucial issue in this slide. Okay. What are the 5 core functions for effective risk management? Of course, we need to understand what risk management is. We need to be identifying and recognizing the risks, or in this case, let's talk about hazards, which are the sources of risk. Prioritize the risks, as we mentioned earlier, and of course, setting the plan and how to monitor and control the measures and evaluate at what extent we're doing well or not very well. I'm trying to skip all the technicalities, so we're just taking an overview in a nutshell in order to gain the essence of risk management before moving into plastic pollution specifically and how we can find solutions. First, we need to differentiate between problems and risks. Problems are, what we are doing now is problem solving. This is not risk management, because the problem has already occurred. After risks materialize, after losses start materializing, then it becomes a problem. So this is a very reactive attitude. We wait for the risk to materialize and losses to occur, then we start solving the problems. We start solving the impact of those problems. So this is where we stand. I'm not talking about maybe not 100%, but at least 60 or 70% we are problem solvers, not risk managers. But managing risks is proactive. We foresee the risks and we start taking the right set of actions that will help us avoid this risk from even materializing. So we don't need to wait for the loss to occur. Please go ahead, sir. Mr. Technospark, please go ahead.
Yeah, somebody want to talk TechnoSpark 8.
Yes.
You want to ask question or you want to make an go ahead, please. Possibly it's a mistake. So
okay, I'll
yes,
move forward and
proceed.
please jump in anytime. Okay. So this is a main framework for risk management. We'll not be stopping here a lot. I can be sharing the slides with you, sirs, if you wish after the presentation. So this is what I'm concerned about, actually. Of course, there are positive and negative risks, but we are more concerned with negative risks now. So there are three sets of, generally, there are three sets of different strategies to adopt, either to avoid, or to mitigate, or to transfer. And it's intuitive that the higher the level we intervene, the better the value, or the higher the value that we achieve. I mean, if we intervene to avoid the risk, is definitely better than to mitigate the impact of the risk. And both of them are definitely better than transferring the risk only from one entity to another, from one factory to another, from one country to another, or even from one generation to another. So I think this is very important to put in mind, because most of the solutions are in mitigation and transferring the risk. I mean, our grandfathers, they transferred the risks to us, and here we are. This is a very useful Passepartout framework for risk management. It's by the Inter-American Development Bank, actually. So let's, for a while, ignore the positive risks and focus on the negative risks. Avoidance is at the source level, at the cause of the hazard itself, the incident or the hazard, or the source of the risk. This is where we can start avoiding the risk. Afterwards, here comes the mitigation, which is trying to mitigate the impact of the risk, but it's not solving the cause or the source. And of course, transferring the risk, as we mentioned. Okay. So enough with technicalities. Now let's, keeping this in mind, keeping this framework in mind, let's start tackling environmental risk. But here, let me reflect on something, especially when we talked about prioritizing risk. To prioritize, we need to look at two main dimensions: the probability of occurrence, or to what the intensity of occurrence of the risk, and the impact of the risk. So the output of those two together should be describing our priorities. So we give high priority to risks that are more probabilistic to occur. They have a high probability to occur, and they have a higher impact. Engineer Ibrahim, please go ahead. Engineer Ibrahim is raising a hand. Please go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, possibly it's a mistake. So you proceed. Yeah. They can drop their questions on the chat box, or input on the chat box, or after presentation we proceed with the rest.
Yes, and we will allow time at the end for interaction and different questions and discussions. Okay. So back to this picture again. Why I emphasize on the single-use plastic? Let's drop some facts here. Plastic pollution is leaving behind impacts for generations to come. If our current rate of pollution continues, experts predict that there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. This is a very bold and shocking statement, actually. It's by earth.org. Another statement by NRDC is that our waste is equivalent to 136 billion milk jugs each year. This is huge, especially the waste that is thrown into oceans, seas, and rivers. This is because this waste is non-recyclable. It's already in the ocean, so it's affecting the environment. There is no other way to recycle it. It's already deep under the ocean. And plastic, of course, is very problematic, and it's very important because they say, according to NRDC, they say that the plastic waste stays 1,000 years longer than other forms of trash. So we're facing a tough task here. So some other facts about plastic pollutions. Every year we use, as a globe, we use 500 billion plastic bags. 13 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean each year. This is why I focused on single-use or disposable plastics, because 50% of the plastic waste is single-use or disposable. Exactly like this bottle of water. You know, maybe I drink four small bottles of water per day, then I can be throwing away 4 plastic bottles. But instead, if I use this, how many bottles have I saved from throwing away? So that's why I focused on the single-use plastic, because this is where we can intervene. In risk management, we look at the whole supply chain. We look at the whole process from the very beginning to the very end. And we start identifying and recognizing where we can be intervening, in which stage, in which process. Are we intervening at the source level, or are we intervening at the impact level? At the source level is producers. If producers stop using plastic packages and they start switching to alternative material that are more friendly to the environment, then the problem is solved. But they need a motivation to do this. They need, we cannot leave the decision making only into their CFO's hands, because they only look at it financially. They look at it in terms of profits, in terms of economics. They ignore other aspects of the environment. Maybe they don't really care about the environment after 40 or 50 years. Who will be living after 50 years? Especially the decision makers and CEOs and CFOs, they are already above 45 or 50. So when we talk about the next 50 years, they are taking decisions that they will not live long enough to see its impact. So they care about their short term, the next 10 years. They care about the shareholders, the profitability, the market penetration, the market share. So that's why we are facing a big challenge in this context. So 10% of all the waste generated is plastic. That's why plastic also is 10% is not little. Okay, and especially that we mentioned that plastic is one of the wastes that can remain for 1,000 years longer than other types of wastes. So a few other key facts. 50% of plastic produced is estimated to be for single use, as we mentioned. Only 9% of the plastic gets recycled, and 91% is transferred. It's transferred to somewhere, maybe to the ocean, maybe to garbage, maybe it's burnt away. We don't know. But 91% of the plastic is not recycled. So this is another area for intervention. So, and here is again the same bold statement that if we remain with the same attitude towards the environment, then we will have more plastic than fish in the oceans in the next 25 years. So yes, let me share with you my little story. Only 3 months ago, I was nominated only 3 months ago. I was nominated by the U.S. Department of State to travel to the States for a month. We stayed there for 4 weeks. They picked 70 candidates from all over the world, from 60 different countries. On average, one candidate from each country. And this program was called the IVLP, the International Visitor Leadership Program. The main theme of the program was sustainable development, specifically climate crisis. So I'll just highlight few moments from this whole trip that was sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, and it included so many exciting activities related to the topic. First, I had a quick talk with Albert Einstein here in Frankfurt, and I was blaming him that with all the technology that we have been facing for the last 100 years, we are really hurting the environment. We are hurting the environment in those 100 years more than the environment has been hurt in the last thousands of years. So is it technology to blame? So the guy seems actually speechless. So maybe he didn't expect that technology would do that much harm. And one of our destinations was in Miami Beach. And we spent the whole group, 70 people from all the countries in the world. We spent 2 hours in Miami Beach collecting trash and garbage. It was a really amazing experience, especially that all those candidates are very high calibers. They are all CEOs, they are all working different ministries, having different occupations from different backgrounds, climate, non-climate. Concerning myself, I'm an economist. I'm not from the climate per se, but economics is into everything else. So all those from different backgrounds, different countries, and different occupations, spending 2 hours hand in hand collecting garbage from a beach that is not in our country. This is responsibility. This is the leadership attitude that I was talking about. I mean, what we did has no direct benefit for us, but we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed doing this activity. This is the amount of garbage that we collected only in 2 hours, and from Miami Beach, you know, which might be considered one of the best beaches in the world. So you can imagine elsewhere how would it be like. So yes, let me share with you some slogans that I found. Actually, I can share a little video if you are curious to know how much garbage we collected. May I share this video, sir?
Yes, go ahead, please. This is very interesting aspect of what we are talking about today.
Yeah. And actually, if you can see in the pictures, the diversity of the people, how we are all enjoying what we did, you know, and looking proudly to this amount of garbage that we collected only in 2 hours. And I'll be referring back to this point in the solutions. But I just want you to yeah.
All right. So and I also want to point out a few things. I see somebody's getting married today. We have a bride's hat here. So who's the lucky one? And we also found a lot of fishing supplies, obviously, some tools, and even somebody's ashes. So it's really crazy what people bring here. Yeah. All right. So who's ready for the final win? We are. Okay. So we picked up 1,132
So the video was audible, sir? You could hear it? Dear sirs, the video was clear? Yeah. So can you imagine in 2 hours we collected 1,000 pounds of trash? And it's yes, it's kind of funny when we were looking at this trash, collecting it ourselves. You can see we're wearing the gloves, of course, and all that. It's funny to see what people throw away. It's a little bit funny. And another fact that maybe it's not mentioned in this video, in another video, that we found some garbage and trash that was made in Mexico and only consumed in Mexico, and it traveled all the way to Miami. So even trash travels across borders. So in trash, we are not only solving our problems, our wastes, sometimes we are faced with the waste of other neighboring countries or territories or geographical areas. And this trash is moving to us. For example, in Egypt, we have the River Nile. We have the Mediterranean, we have the Red Sea. So maybe trash from another country comes to us, and vice versa, and the opposite. That's why we need a collective responsibility. It's not only about, is my country or is my region or is my organization or even my household, is it directly affected with trash? No, this is not how we should be tackling the situation. Should be tackling it from a global point of view. The whole planet is facing this problem. Let me share with you few slogans that, yeah. I like this slogan, skip a straw and save the planet, which with each straw we skip, using and throwing away, we are taking one step forward towards saving the planet. So huge impact, huge solutions only start with very minor and small steps. It's never too small. One step is never too small towards a solution. And another slogan is that we really believed in this. We really wished that everyone would care just a little more. And this is, why am I telling this story? Specifically for this slogan. If everyone would just care a little bit more about the environment, maybe we can start having sustainable and responsible solutions to what we are facing. Because feeling responsible, when we talk about sustainable solutions, about long-term solutions for 50 years to come, then we need responsibility. This is why we talked about leadership. We don't just want to study a little bit of risk management and how we can do some interventions right now. No, we need to be fully responsible for what we are doing, because this is creating a culture. This is a whole culture. We need a complete new generation and generations to come. One day they will become the CEOs and the CFOs and the decision makers and the presidents and prime ministers of different countries. One day they will bear the responsibility of taking the right decisions. So maybe now our degree of influence is not as much as we wish it could have been, but with the correct intervention, with the correct focus on culture, then maybe in 20 and 25 years, new generations will be in charge, and they will be taking the decisions that we wished we could be taking right now. So back to this framework, if you remember it. In order to find solutions, we need to identify on which level are we going to intervene. Are we going to intervene at the cause level? Are we going to intervene from the manufacturing, from the producer? Please, Mr. Producer, stop producing this plastic. Stop producing what damages the environment, even if it's more profitable for you, even if it is. And economists and financial experts, they're looking for different solutions for this, how we can penalize certain activities from different factories and organizations, how we can motivate certain behaviors and attitudes, maybe through tax savings, maybe through funding, maybe branding, maybe even the goodwill of the one initiative now is that the more the organization or the factory is environmentally friendly, the more it reflects on its goodwill, on its branding value, even in the balance sheet. So it reflects into its market valuation. in the prices of shares and its stocks in the different stock markets. So we need to understand, are we able to intervene at the cause level, at the source, or are we mitigating the impact? And if we are mitigating the impact, how can we be doing that? So those are some solutions from our perspective as the poor consumers. And this is the maximum that we could be doing. Not actually the maximum, but yes, we can be avoiding some, because as consumers, if we alter our behavior, our consumer behavior, our attitude towards consumption, this will put direct pressure on producers, because producers, they care about profits. So if we stop buying certain products because they hurt the environment, then producers will start making losses on those products, and they will start shifting into other ways of manufacturing. So we have the responsibility of, we have the role of taking this responsibility, actually, towards humanity and towards ourselves. So I believe that the main solution, as Mr. Emmanuel generously said earlier, and I totally agree with him, is innovation. How we can find long-term and responsible solutions. We don't want to keep thinking the same way that we have been thinking and trying to solve the problem with the same mindset, like Einstein, my friend, said. So we need to start thinking in a different way. This is where innovation comes. There are so many rooms and points and areas for innovation in the whole process. No matter what the sector is, no matter what the activity is, if we have a look at the whole ecosystem, at the whole process, at the whole supply chain, we can find numerous rooms for innovation. But first, we need to understand what innovation is. Those are different definitions for innovation. I specifically love the first definition. The first definition of innovation, and I heard it in Harvard Business School, is seeing a version of the world that does not exist yet, and then painting a picture of what this looks like for the rest of the world. So this is the core essence of innovation, is that we are striving for a future. We are striving for a future maybe that we do not see before. We are painting a picture, a futuristic picture, and trying to convince the whole world of this picture and how we can achieve it. This is why innovators, they face many challenges with different stakeholders around them. And answering difficult problems, this takes us back to the priorities, how we can prioritize our objectives. Is our objective to make more money for the company, or is our objective to have a better environment for our children and our grandchildren? This is our decision, our call. And ironically, if we take the right decision towards the environment, we'll be making more money on the long term. But only human beings are very short-sighted to the extent that we keep missing such important facts, that if we only focus on the short term, on the profitability of the short term, we are going to lose short term and long term. But if we focus on the long term from the environmental point of view, we're gonna make the profits that we wanted to, but in a better environment. And I think it might be a little bit inspiring to talk about inventions, since we're talking about innovation, because invention is the pipeline for innovation. Invention is the process of developing the new technology, how we can be using new technology, either in waste management or in recycling, how we can be using new technology in manufacturing, how we can be using alternative sources other than plastic, how we can be finding different ways of dealing with this waste. Those are all inventions. But sometimes, and not sometimes, all of the time, across history, we see beautiful inventions, very useful inventions, but they have not turned into innovation. The invention is there, but it has not been turned into an innovation, and it has not been commercialized or used in our system and process, because this gap between invention and innovation is the role of entrepreneurs and leaders. That's why we need strong leadership attitude towards achieving filling this gap, the gap that exists between inventions. We can many scientists and engineers and many highly intellectual people can create different inventions that are really useful to the environment, but to what extent we can be using these inventions practically? What is the cost of using this invention? How can we commercialize it? How can we spread it all over the world? How can we convince investors and stakeholders and governments to be using, to be replacing old technology with this new inventions, especially that people hate to change. You know, we get used to doing something, we keep doing it as long as it's working with us. So filling this gap between invention and innovation, I believe, is the key success factor for a better future. The more we can come out with different solutions, the more we can invent and innovate and entrepreneur and find different gaps and no one can ever find one comprehensive solution to all the problems of the humanity. But if each and everyone can solve only 1/10 million of the problem, and each one of us can make this is the collective responsibility, the collective global responsibility that we need towards facing this global challenge. And this is the DNA that we want to give to our children and grandchildren. We want our children to have this DNA in their character, in their mindset, and their approaches, and how they can be taking their decisions in the future towards a better environment. So I hope the presentation was not very technical. I hope it was not boring. I hope it was not very long. So thank you. And please go ahead with questions, with discussions, with comments. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I guess every one of us might have really learned one thing or the other based on this presentation. It's very, very interesting. Actually starting from leadership, talking about the attitude, the behaviors. And in fact, there was very interesting comment you made that really struck my mind, where you are talking about the plastic getting to a stage where the plastic are going to be higher than the fishes in the sea. That is a very, very serious matter. You know, just like looking at what the exercise you guys did in Miami, you find out that so many plastics. So if you can see what happens in Miami, for example, if you see what is happening within the African shores, you just get mad. It's already far times 10 bigger than the fishes already. In Africa.
Yes, I totally agree. And if this is happening in Miami, what about Africa? What about the rest of the world? And you know, sir, I was thinking when concerning this experience in Miami, that in 2 hours we collected this amount of trash. So what other interventions could be done? For example, instead of paying a high-speed ticket, maybe I pay 4 hours to the society. Maybe for the government or the traffic authority, instead of collecting money for high-speed ticket, maybe we collect hours of community service. Community service is very important. Maybe when we hire people into our organizations, instead of looking at their CV with all their education and fancy certifications and fancy technical experience, maybe we need to look at their community experience as well, to what they have served the community. Maybe we can embed this into our children, that like they do sports, like they watch theater, like they read books, they need to be paying their debt to the society 1 or 2 hours every day. If you all do that 1 or 2 hours every day, it's not huge, but if we collectively do that, millions of people, how well our environment could be. This is only by feeling responsible. And responsibility, I always like to use this phrase, forgive me, sir, for interrupting you. Responsibility, I divide it into two parts, the response and the ability. So we all have the ability, but we need the response. That's why we need the attitude. The ability is there. We all have the ability to do everything, but we need the response. We need the attitude that would motivate us to actually do what we are capable of. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Thank you so much. No, it's a very wonderful input. And looking at another point to mention based on sustainable solutions, you know, and getting the sustainable solution into action is just like what he said earlier, carrying the younger generation along, you know, carrying the children, the pupils, the students in the schools, making sure that environmental issues of these measures are incorporated into the educational system, into the learning system at a very younger ages. You know, that helps to build that attitude, helps to change that mentality of having a cleaner and a very healthy environment. I think these are part of the takeaway from this short presentation. And having watched your outing in Miami on environmental plastic and trash pollution is a very interesting one. I really learned a lot from there, and I was just imagine how other Africa and other continents like within the Asia and Nigeria, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and all, you just get mad. That means we really need to get into action to be able to serve the future generation. At this point, I think I need to allow some of other leaders to throw point and throw some input to the discussion. At this point, I would like to call on Mr. Sami from Ghana to maybe make his input to this subject matter. And after that, we also have Mr. Roxton Ali. I guess he's also standby to make an input to this before other delegates can proceed. Mr. Sami, over to you, please. Mr. Sami is on board. Okay, let's, Mr. Roxton Ali, are you ready to talk to us? Mr. Roxton Ali. Okay, let's have input from the delegates who have learned one thing or the other. Somebody just said on the chat board, he said, what was the immediate solution to the plastic waste that was collected from the Miami beach? This is because there are limited recycling systems, especially for plastic waste in Africa and globally. Okay, fine. That is in Africa. In the America, within the Europe, I guess these solutions are already in place. Can you react to that, Mr. Marcy? Can you react to this question? He said the trash that was collected, what was the immediate action taken to, to handle it?
Yes, of course, and this is a brilliant question, and this is where we should be intervening, actually finding better ways of waste management, because as we mentioned earlier, that only 10% of plastic is recycled, and the 90% we don't know what to do with it. So actually, we faced in with this question, and let me tell you honestly, what was their astonishing reply is that they told me they are not 100% sure of even what they are doing is the best solution or not. They themselves, they are not sure of the strategy or the different methods they are using. Is it the best? To what extent this whole trash is going to be recycled? Maybe, and you're 100% correct. And that's why we need to be strategizing our efforts. We don't want to be doing all that effort to collect the trash and then transfer that trash from one place to another. We do not solve the problem, or transfer this ash by burning it into carbon monoxide, dioxide, and other stuff that pollute the environment. So this is one of the very important areas where we can be finding solutions. Technically and honestly, I'm not sure what they did with all the waste we collected. And we felt happy about collecting all that waste without knowing exactly what will be done with it. So I really thank you for this brilliant question and this.
But I'm very much sure that those waste collected must have actually returned back to the recycling plant. I'm very much sure.
I hope they didn't return back to the ocean.
No. You know, we are talking of a very developed countries here.
Yeah.
It's not, if it's in Nigeria, I will tell you, or if it's in Ghana, Kenya, I will tell you, I know they are just doing waste transfer. You know, they transfer the waste from one location to another location. They have not solved the problem because that is the situation in Africa and also in part of the Middle East. And Middle East is just waking up and moving with a fast pace of development. But in Africa, we are still very far behind because that is where we have limited number of recycling. In Europe, you will see some houses are imbued with recycling water waste plants, where the water they are using in that facility within that estate is being still used back, and you can drink it, not just for domestic use, to drinking, purified to a drinking state. So this is what we are talking about here. You know. In Africa, we are still experiencing, you know, waste moving from one point to another. They call it a dumping site. You know, once it gets to the dumping site, what happens? You just dump it there. Where does it go to? And that is where you see the rain, the water. We just flush it into our shores, and it travels from there. Okay, somebody want to talk? Mr. Winners, over to you, please.
Yes, good afternoon, and I want to appreciate our presenter for a brilliant job there. Yes, actually, I'm a Ghanaian, but I live in Bahrain and I work in Bahrain. So even here, as an environmental practitioner, my company and some other times, we go into the beach to collect this waste as part of our social responsibilities. And many times we take this garbage, we don't even know where to go, where the next place to put the garbage. After we have gone on the beach to collect this material, sometimes we don't know where the next thing to do, because even the recycling plants to get this material recycled or process it are limited. Yes, and I want to use this opportunity to appreciate this a gentleman in Ghana who is doing wonderful things in respect to sewage, I mean, a plastic waste, where he uses this plastic waste to produce building blocks and building our homes. And I believe that most countries and institutions, if we can champion some of these things, it will go a long way to reduce the waste impact or the plastic waste impact in our environment. So if many are willing to learn, they can get in touch with this gentleman, and I'm sure Mr. Sami could give you more details about him. This is a little way in which he's doing something to reduce the waste or the plastic waste impact. And I believe that all of us have a responsibility, especially to the younger generations. I really wonder what the world would look like in the next 50 years if something is not done today practically to reduce the impact of the plastic waste in our system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Winners, for this great input. And just like what you are saying, there is need for serious we are going to be having serious problem in the future coming, because the rates by which people use plastics in Nigeria, you see so many plastic water, plastic nylons, especially nylons of different kinds. And at the end of the day, where does all this go? It goes nowhere, you know, from dustbin to dumping site, from dumping site to our rivers, and causing more damages. So, and I also time you are talking about recycling plants and some of the vendors in this business, you know, they do go as far as paying some people. You gather the plastic waste, they have to weigh it and pay you some amount of money to get some momentum for passion for people to gather their plastic waste, they weigh it and they make some little money out of it. So I don't think if that's really yielding huge result, because if that is really making a headway to address this situation, because over the years, I knew such things are really happening, but I don't see the effect of it. Because if we are getting positive returns from it, we should actually, at this point, at this current age, have more sustainable. I don't think that is still yielding a result. Okay, we also have a question here from Kennedy. He's saying, is there any international legal framework or convention on plastic pollution? What measures are in place to ensure developing countries institutes PM 2.5 AQI? So I don't know, Mr. Marcy, can you make any input, or any other expert in the house, to address these 2 points?
Yes, I can generally address to those points, but first let me appreciate the point that Mr. Winners has mentioned. Yes, there is this trend, they call it the DIY, do it yourself. And I know some entrepreneurs that are doing this. They take the wastes, the plastic waste, specifically glass and plastic waste, and instead of throwing it away, they try and be creative in doing different decorations and different things for home and for office, and they even sell it online. Of course, this is one very, very good initiative to try and solve the problem. So since the plastic is there, let's not throw it away. Let's try and use it in a more creative way. So this is, I really like this this input, Mr. Winners. And Mr. Kennedy, actually, there is, as far as I know, and I've been asking this question a lot, actually, especially in the States. I wanted to take the opportunity and the privilege of being with those people, you know, and ask them this question. I specifically asked it in UCLA. I was in a seminar in the University of California with the head of sustainable development. And actually, no, there is no, as far as I know, and as far as they replied to me, that there is no one international framework, either legal or non-legal framework, that governs the whole activity. And there can never be one, because each country, each geographical region, they have their threats and their challenges and their different priorities. So, and different context. So there is no one global context that could commit all the 200 countries or 170, 180 countries in the world into one set of actions. This is very difficult, as far as I believe. So what we have to do as leaders is to rely on what we have. We have to build on what we have. So we have to start from different initiatives, from NGOs, from the society, from the community, from different governments, from different countries. Then eventually, the system will be evolving. The system will start to conglomerate. Eventually, bilateral and multilateral agreements will be taking place. Eventually, different conventions will be attracting different countries and different players with the same interest and with the same, because maybe two countries are far away from each other. Maybe they are facing different threats and challenges. Maybe they are facing the same challenge, but their endowments, their factor endowments on a global level are different. So their intervention strategy is different. So we cannot unify it. The only international framework that we can agree upon is that we all want a better future. This is one thing. And the second thing that I've been also emphasizing on is to have a platform of knowledge management. We all need to be sharing knowledge from the States to the Far East, from Russia to South Africa to Madagascar. We all need to be sharing knowledge, sharing experiences, sharing lessons learned. This is the solid start, I believe, for having a conglomerate international framework, is through a platform of sharing knowledge. Maybe an invention in the States is not working in the States or in France or in Sweden, but it can work very well in Africa, and maybe vice versa. I hope this answers to your question, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I also try to be on the same page with you, Mercy, because I don't think there's going to be one legal framework that can control the whole world on this subject matter. I think, for example, in Dubai, I've been in Dubai over time, and I've stayed there over time, and you see how people manage plastic and other general waste. Even to the point that within the train stations, you will see a whole lot of education, a lot of signages telling you make sure you trash your waste here, make sure you put the waste here. And in such cases, they are also classified. You know, in Africa, we are still putting all waste all in one bin. But in the Western world, in developed nations, in every bin, there must be different, based on the risk or based on the kind of environment you find yourself. They have to now classify different waste bins where people need to trash those wastes for the purpose of easy selection and also for recycling purposes. You know, so those plans are already put on plan control in the bigger space. Now, coming back to in Dubai, you will see them, they will tell you, okay, if you litter the environment or if you don't trash appropriately, you will be charged 10 dirham. I've seen such notice in public places, even in the train station. So even in inside the train, I've seen such notice. So I think that is their own country, possibly from their Ministry of Environment, from their authorities, to be able to put such legal framework in place to control their country, to control their environment. And that is one of the best way that can be achieved. And if you look at environment, you can see everywhere is so, look at those environment, you find out everywhere is so clean and everywhere is so, everybody is complying to it. Everybody's complying to it. I don't know if such can be duplicated and such can be also take place in Africa. It's really going to take a very long way to do that. It's really going to take a long way to do that. But I think we can get there by continuous process. So do we have any further input? We are soon going to be winding down to this interactive lecture to mark the World Environment Day today, being 5th of June, talking about solutions to plastic pollution. Any input from the House? Any input?
So I see a question from Mr. Oladapo.
Okay.
I would like to address to this question in a minute.
I doubt if it can be eradicated, but I hope it can be reduced. Okay, fine. That is still possible. And from like was said, how can we imbibe the culture of less usage of plastic products so that the pollution can reduce or perhaps to be eradicated? Of course, it's already taking place and happening in the UK from my own experience and from my own understanding. You know, over those early years when I do visit UK, I thought that it's just as usual in Africa. You just buy something, they just give you, after paying, they give you plastics, nylons and things of that nature to put your goods. I get to understand that as much as I bought all the whole stuff I bought that day, they asked me, where is the nylon? Where is the bag? I said, I don't have any. Don't you have? They said, no, I have to buy. And I have to check how much I have to buy that. I have to say, okay, don't worry, I have to carry my luggage.
Yeah, yes. You know, I faced the same situation in Morocco. In Morocco, when you buy something from the grocery, he doesn't give you a bag unless you pay for it. So you see all the ladies, they go to the market with their own bag, you know, and they keep using this bag maybe for years.
Exactly. So that is one control to reduce and it's really helping Europe to a very large extent, because you see that everybody have really understood, every individual knows that, and nobody want to waste extra money when you know you can pick a already existing bag at home to go for your shopping and order. So it helps to manage the attitude, the behaviors and things of that nature. And We also have from Mile, he said, plastic
Yes,
waste.
Mr. Manuel, can I comment on Mr.
Yes.
Oladapo's
Go ahead, please. Go
input?
ahead,
Yeah.
please.
Concerning the culture, because you know that I'm highly interested in culture management in general, in different contexts. So yes, managing the culture is very important, and like Engineer Emmanuel has previously said, managing the culture could be on two main levels, from two different intervention points. We can be what is the culture? The culture is a set of beliefs that that craft or govern the attitude of a certain group of people. So in a certain culture, maybe I'm relating to what Mr. Manuel said, in a certain culture, maybe throwing away the garbage in the street is not wrong. So no matter how many regulations and rules you put, I'll keep breaking those rules, except for in Dubai, I'll be paying maybe 200 dirhams penalty for throwing away a cigarette or something. So in the intervening into culture and trying to manage the culture, it should be on two levels. On the level of what is right and wrong from the very first place, is what we are doing, is this behavior a correct, a righteous behavior or a wrong behavior? And this intervention, this should be taking place at very early ages. So from this point of view, we could be intervening with new generations. We want new generations to be raised on the principles and the ethical principles that this is right and this is wrong, regardless of the laws and the regulations of the country. The second level of intervention is to what extent we are compliant with what we believe is right or wrong. Maybe I believe that, yes, this is wrong, but I'll keep doing it anyway. So this is where the regulations and the rules take place. So managing the culture, it should be from the two perspectives at the same time. A very short-term perspective, which is through the laws and the regulations and the procedures of the country itself. This is one level, and simultaneous to it, a very long-term perspective is how we can build new generations that believe in what we believe is right and wrong from the first place, so that they don't need even much cost to imply the rules and the laws. So I just wanted to comment on that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Raymond, come on board before we treat the reactions on the chat box. Raymond, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my input is like here in Nigeria, I think I attended the seminar last year, and I think what we need is more sensitization when it comes to this, for people to know that the disadvantage is way more bigger than the advantage of using this plastic. And when it comes to disposing, you made mention of we separating wastes. Like, I think very few people knows how to do this. I think during that seminar, it was when there's red, there's green, you put this here, you put this other. I think most is that, and someone mentioned government. The government, they make laws, they don't follow them up. And what if, and another thing that I see is the exposure and the educational background of maybe rural areas and the likes. When you put something like, okay, this is what the government wants, what if these people don't have the money to even buy a waste bin, one waste bin, not to talk of buying 2 or 3? So I think more sensitization gradually will get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond, for that input. I think he's actually making a very big point. Education have a very long way to go, and that is where the Arch Association is doing a whole lot of jobs in terms of advocacy, awareness, and all that, so that we can get this done. And now you are talking about the waste. In Africa, the behavior, the attitude is that I have a waste in my house. I just want to move it out of the house. Nobody cares where the waste is going or how it's going to go. I have seen a situation where people during the rainy season, they just bring their bills, tie it to nylon, just keep it. No, during the rain will just wash everything. They will just say, thanks be to God. Thank you, it's raining today. So all the whole West bin and everything have to flush. So that is the attitude. They just want the being to move out of their environment. Then wherever he's going to, whether he's going to another person's corridor or whatever, that is their own cup of tea. So these are issues that are where education and a mental shift have to start taking the right direction so that we can get it right. Okay, we have some reactions here. Let's see how we can flip over that very fast as we wind down at this point. You say, how can we, okay, fine, we have tweeted this earlier. Is plastic waste could move from challenge to a food security issue if we do not sit up by benchmarking what we expect into our market. If Africa is not ready to adopt ideal technology such as disposing constant in the formation of these products. Okay, we are still talking about the issues of coming up with laws, with the right attitude and things of that nature. Fine. Why is the cost of recycling plastic more expensive than the cost of producing it? I say. So these are issues, and the next one said our leader must enact laws to cope with this pollution, just like what is happening in Dubai currently. So the leaders, they have to come up with those laws. Is a level of illiteracy in Africa is another setback to achieve a clean environment. That is where education comes in. So every one of us here must take the message back home to our environment, to our houses, to be able to do the needful. It will take Africa many years to achieve this. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. It's going to take 100 years to achieve this, unless if we really want to get it done. Then Chima said continuous awareness from the government level to the grassroots level we have control over time. Okay, it's a well said, Mr. Mamsi. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to World Environmental Day. Fine. It is right to dig and bury waste, especially in Africa. Is it right to dig and bury waste? Especially, that's the last message here. Mamsi, can you try this? Some people is talking about, okay, instead of, disposing it and all that and bothering the water system, the ecosystem and the water shores and all that, can we now dig and bury it and let it remain there? So can you treat this, please?
Yes, I think that digging and burying it is transferring the risk to another generation, maybe. But I would like to comment on something that really attracted my mind, which is that the cost of recycling is more expensive than the cost of producing it. Yes, and this is where the problem is. If the cost of producing plastic was higher, we would have not been facing this problem right now, because those are the decision makers, the producers, the production decision making. They choose to produce plastic because it's cheap, and recycling it is more expensive. So how we can be trying to alter this, and through this I'll be trying to answer other threads as well, is actually at two levels. At the government level, through policies and procedures, penalize certain behaviors and motivate other behaviors. And from the community level, we need strong, especially in Africa, in the Middle East, in Egypt, in different neighboring countries. The NGOs are not powerful enough. Government on its own we cannot rely on the government alone to be taking the right decisions on the behalf of the community. I wish it could have been that utopic. We have been living in that utopic situation, but it's not. So we have to rely on the community itself. We need to impose our preferences, our way of thinking, how we can prioritize our objectives and our goals and what we want. It's not only about what the producer wants, what the market wants, what the economics wants. No, it's about us, the community. So this is where we can be putting our impact, putting our inputs through community hubs, through community clubs, through webinars, seminars, through NGOs, and even each and everyone could be the ambassador of his own beliefs and what he thinks about. If I educate my children that way, and Mr. Amr does the same, and Mr. Winners does the same, and Engineer Emmanuel does the same, then we are solving the problem from the grassroots, as Shima has said. Solutions cannot be, and awareness, it cannot be from the government alone. It should be from grassroots level as well, because we are the community, and we have the responsibility of electing those who would represent our ideas and our beliefs. So I think, yes, it might not be taking it might be taking a couple of years in order for us to evolve, especially in Africa and in other maybe Asian and other regions in the world, not only Africa and Asia. But it's our responsibility to make it last shorter than 100 years or something. Yeah.
Very correct. Very correct. Thank you so much. Okay, we want to start wrapping up. Okay, we have Harry here. Over to you, please. Yes, Harry, you raise up your hand, or is it by mistake? Okay, fine. We have really, over to you. Can you unmute yourself and make your input or question? Thank you. Okay. Over time, I think there is need for us to really. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Harry, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I wanted to make a little contribution. Speaking from, I'm in Ghana. Mr. Albert made mention of education, but I have a concern to it. You see, in the rural areas like this, if you compare the education levels of those in the cities, they produce more waste, more plastic than those in the rural areas. So I've seen that the education in the rural areas are better off. It is higher than those in the cities. That those in the cities, because of affluence, money and those things, so they have been producing a lot of plastics. Now, talking of how the government should come in, I think the private organizations and the NGOs, their support will be needed here. Why am I saying this? Government is not able to support institutions that are to promote this education to the public for them to do this waste separations. So I will entreat that the private sectors will bring in their support. Now, about in the world, this ECOWAS, Nations Union and European Nations Union and those people, can't they bring or enact a law that the companies that do produce these plastics, there will be a law on them that if you are able to, if you produce about 100 plastics within a month, we make sure that a law will back you or enforce you to collect or recycle back about 80 to 90% of the one that you have produced. In respect to the companies that are producing these plastics, when you produce about 70 tons, then there should be a law that at the end of the month or the year, these 70 tons of waste of plastic that you have produced, you make sure that at least you have regulated its usage and its collection, about 80 to 90% of it, so that the money they put into the production will now be equal or come closer to the money that they use in the recycling and then recollection. I think that one will be that one will also help in curbing this problem with plastics. My humble submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harry, for this wonderful idea. I think, see, this is going to be a good one. You know, if they are producing 10,000 tons or maybe 1,000 or 1 million, at least they should be able to put measures in place to ensure that they are having back 60, 80% before they produce next new one. What do you think about it?
Yes, I believe so. So it's a brilliant solution. And actually, this takes us back to innovation, because innovation is mistaken to be only in technology. Innovation could be in the governance, how the government can be governing the whole market. It could be in the procedures, in the laws, in the modeling. Innovation could be in all aspects of the whole ecosystem. It should not only be restricted in our mindset to technology. So this is one of the brilliant solutions. And if some of the candidates here are old enough to remember what I'm going to refer to, in Egypt, maybe 25 years ago, Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola, they never used plastic bottles.
Plastics.
Yeah, they used to use glass bottles.
Exactly.
And we buy the glass only once, then I return it to the market and I get a new one, and they take the same glass and they do whatever they do with it to clean it and sanitize it and then sell it back to us. So
I'm sorry, and those years we don't see any littering of plastic anywhere because it is bottles.
Exactly. And this is what I was debating with Einstein in about technology. Is it all good, or there is the bad face of technology and the rush into sirs, we human beings, we invented money, then we turned this money into being our life goal and objective, making more money, and money is our invention. So it's a loop. We are trapped into that loop. We invented the concept of money, then we strive into how we can be making more and more money, regardless of anything else, regardless
consequences to
yes,
humanity.
of the
Exactly.
consequences. Yes.
I see. I think these have to do with having the right conscience. It's not that they don't know, but they want to find a fast way to be able to do this. Because even in the UK, some of the drinks still in bottles, but you buy the bottles, you don't return. But they have a good waste management system that every house is being built in by having the first set of waste disposals. Okay, Mr. Abayomi, over to you, please. Abayomi Dempsey. We are wrapping up with a poem.
Yeah, thank
Ghana.
you very much.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the World Environment Day. The issue of plastic in our environment is becoming a serious phenomenon. But in the Ministry of Environment, I think there are a lot of measures being put in place now. One, by creating recycling facilities in some of our geopolitical zone, right here in Nigeria. And for the fact that I visit some of the industries nationwide, there are a lot of efforts are being made by some industry transforming the plastic into so many uses. I've seen an instance where they turn plastic into foam or mattress. I've seen an instance they turned it to foot mat. So I think the United Nations need to really invest in the technology of recycling plastic worldwide, especially developing countries, because another danger in plastics now is the emerging pollutant. The emerging pollutant we're having in plastic now is turning to a world emergency generally. And what's the emerging is the microbes, the small particles of plastic that emanate, that enter the soil, enter the water, enter the marine animals. So the emerging pollutant, and there's not been any treatment or effect on it for we as a woman. So I think the issue of plastic has to be taken seriously, and we should find a way to get the international organizations to assist African countries in molding technology to come to this recycling effort, because that's the only way out. Then there should be a buyback from the plastic producing facilities like Coca-Cola and some of them that use plastic for their product. There should be a means of buyback whereby there will be a reduction in the plastic we have in the environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dixon, for your submission. I guess you're also speaking 50% for the government and also asking for investors to come into this sector to be able to address matters. I think that is the best way and a good way to go. If the government can do the needful for the bigger manufacturing company like Coca-Cola and other big manufacturing industry sectors to have a way of managing, buying back, taking back their product, taking it back to recycling and really producing, that will help the society a whole lot. Okay, you just have 1 minute, Mr. Festus. 1 minute, we are moving to a poem from a Ghana professional who is going to be giving us a poem on Stop the Pollution, and we will hear him then. Oh, we are having 2 persons now. That should be the last place. No more hands up. We have 1 minute from Festus and another 1 minute from Chus. Over to you, Festus.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon. As you rightly said, I'm Festus. You see, yes, I've heard enough about education. I've heard enough about producers. But one of our major problems in Ghana with regard to plastic waste management is about the waste management service providers. As it stands now, there's a monopoly on waste management service providers. And because of that monopoly, even though you might do sorting out in your various homes, when you do the sorting out and they're coming to pick the waste, they lump everything up together. So it makes the sorting out becomes let me use this word, useless. So why would I do sorting out, waste my time, get various types of dustbin, sort out the waste, and then when the compactor comes, compact all the waste, both plastics, organic, all type of waste into one compactor, and then send them to the landfill site for treatment. Until we are able to take out the monopoly in the waste management system in Ghana here, we'll continue to suffer the fate we are suffering now.
Yeah, we lost you, Festus. Can you unmute back? Close?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So when that particular service provider is not up to task, you will not be able to hold the service provider responsible. Because there are a lot of companies who are ready to do sorting out. There are various NGOs, there are various small-scale companies or institutions or waste management services that are picking plastic waste from the environment. Because this waste find their way into the environment as a result of a failure in the service provider who is responsible now for collecting solid waste. The waste in the environment now is a failure not on the government, it's a failure not on the people or the users of plastic waste, but it's a failure on the waste management company who is responsible for solid waste. Until we tackle it from that angle, we'll have educations, we'll deal with the companies producing plastic waste and what have you, but until the service provider who is in charge to collect the waste appropriately to the appropriate quarters, we'll continue to have this challenge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Festus, for what is actually happening in Ghana. I think I got your very clear narration clearly because of possibly politically or otherwise. Because in UK, for example, we have the councils. We have Enfield Council, Manchester Council, and so many council cities. They manage their waste and they have the people going to houses to pick up this waste. And in Africa, of course, I got to know also that we started that on that same system of giving authorities and licenses to so many environmental vendors who should manage particular community, particular street, particular stops. I think I got your point, but there will be need to have more, because when we have more of such vendors, it's going to help really than waiting for one particular vendor to address or to, when they don't have the capacity or they don't have the experience or the knowledge or the speed or the resources in terms of equipment, in terms of human resources to manage such. So I think I got your point very clearly. And this have to do with the government, actually, especially the Minister of Environment in Ghana is the one within the jurisdiction to handle this case. Yeah. So, Mr. Chus, let's hear you before we keep wrapping up. Mr. Chus? Okay, fine. Okay, Festus. I guess your matter have been reacted to. Okay, let's move straight to the poem from, okay, Chus, over to you. Over to you, Chus. 1 minute. Kindly unmute yourself. We cannot hear you, please. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, you're on mute, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead now, please.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. From this side, I'm talking from Nigeria. Like my brother said, like briefly, Mr. Adeyemi also, he said something about plastic being controlled or curtailed in the environment. We also have this, down here we also misuse this water, sachet water. If we can also reach out to these people who stock water in the in a nylon, to ensure they drive another measure to control this littering around. Anyway, like he has also said, the Ministry of Environment are putting one or two together to ensure control of these things. Anyway, but I also want us to, talk to them ourselves directly, because if it's not about talking, but make sure they do what's needed to control all of these things in our environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chus, for that wonderful input. Of course, the government really have a whole lot to do. Like in the case of Nigeria, we are talking of having recycling plants in various geopolitical zones. I can rightly tell you that is not enough, but it's just a step forward. It's not enough compared to millions of consumers, millions of plastics that are being products from various plastic containers that are being used per day. So we have Mohammed saying in Nigeria, our government are not doing enough to eradicate this menace of plastic pollution. I know some individual that pays scavengers and some money for each kilogram of plastic waste. They realized just to cope the menace, but there was no any intervention from the government to sustain that. Our people need serious sensitization on the effect of plastic solution. The earlier, the better. Okay, fine. When it comes to plastic waste management, the government of Ghana has not done so well in handling the situation. In fact, information waste speakers are doing much to reduce the volume of plastic waste that ends up in landfill site. Okay, we are all talking about the government, but I know so much that the government in Africa at in various countries are not actually doing much as regards to this subject matter, because we as individuals need to start helping ourselves. We need to start putting measures into place, starting from our homes, starting from offices, homes, to be able to address this in order to stop the pollution so that we can have a healthier and a safer environment. So in the next 3 minutes, let's welcome Eta Bobo, the African poet from Ghana. He's going to give us the points on stop the pollution. Over to you. Unmute yourself, Eta Bobo, on this. Thank you.
Greetings, family. My name is Eta Bobo, the African poet. I come from Ghana. I am environmental health and safety health tutor, and I lecture safety at the Accra School of Hygiene. I have done a lot of projects, concerning environment, safety, among others. I want to recite share one of my poems to you, or my works to you, and the title is called "Stop the Pollution." Talking about pollution, who is holy? They who pollute sin against nature, your Almighty. Where are the birds that sing so sweet, that makes me feel so tipsy? Where are the brube and the enkankom that I enjoy so much when I was not even hungry? Where are the frogs and the fireflies that used to croak and shine at night? That was nice, but scary. Do you see them anymore? Don't you wonder why? When I walk on the street, I see no trees, but ball. When I go for fishing, I catch plastics, ball. When was the last time you saw rainbow in the skies? You chose pollution. Why not prevention? Oh, kata kata kaba kata kata. Oh God, I love you. Our heart loves God, but the mind destroys God. Trees falling like rains, factories growing like weeds. The soil is poorer, the river is uglier, the earth stinks, animals extinct. People are coughing, the skin itching, forests are barren, humans are dying. We don't even try to find a safer way. Your food is killing us. Your water is killing us. The air is killing us. Stop it, please. Stop the pollution. He that plant trees love others beside himself. So let's plant trees. Let's avoid littering, crude dumping, and burning. Let's conserve energy at home, work everywhere. Let's use public transportation, bike or walk. Let's conserve leaves and other yard waste. Let's use eco-safe paint and cleaning product. I want to see the land free from pollution, where my babe and I can enjoy gas creation. Let us protect gas creation because he is already done with creation. Thank you.
We appreciate Bobo for that wonderful message for us today. Thank you for this wonderful message. At this point, we want to call Ezat from Egypt to give us a closing remark. Thank you, Bobo, and we are going to have you live to make more of these points. Thank you. Amy Ezat from Egypt to give us a closing remark. Thank you. Ezat, are you here? You are busy? So if you are busy, I'm going to be calling Oladipo, Mr. Oladipo, to give us a closing remark from Nigeria. Oladipo Bayode. Oladipo Bayode.
Hello, yeah, good afternoon to you all.
Yes, thank you. Closing remark for the session. Thank you.
Okay, I want to appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you for making this program a very successful one. I've actually learned a lot with these few minutes I've joined. So I will want to summarize everything by saying that as professionals that we all are in this field, let us endeavor to be an example in our environment so that the whole country where we are
I think your network is off. To wrap it up, Mavis Odobo, who was expecting a lot from this session, will be Odobo. Can you just wrap it up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for the patience demonstrated and for the initiative in putting this webinar together. I have truly, my mind has been inspired. I want to say a very big thank you to our lecturer today. You've opened my mind to a lot of ways in which we can actually engage, especially the younger generation, to think more about contributing to the environment. And I think just like somebody has said, if we can individually in our own space of influence begin to practicalize some of the things that we have learned here today, our world will be a better place. And I'm sure the impact will be felt on the greater community. God bless you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we unmute ourselves and shout out to the trainer for today? Appreciate him and all those who have contributed in one way or the other to ensure today is a great day.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Mr. Masi.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for OSHA Association for feeling
you.
responsible enough towards this crucial issue.
It was really nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.